the Bronx community. Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative. For businesses, politicians, and government agencies, we offer targeted advertising solutions that drive results. Amplify your message. Reach the heart of the Bronx and beyond. Our platform connects you to the community. Learn more. Email info@bronxpost.com or call 718-892-5555. Visit www.bronxpost.com for breaking news and updates. Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative.
Greetings, I'm live from New York City. My name is Sheikh Musa Drame. I am the host. The executive producer behind the scene is Muti Olawe. So today, I'm here with what I believe is a game-changing proposition. I am a co-founder to an educational advocacy called STEMDUP Institute, based in New York State and New York City. Today, I would like to announce a new initiative that we've been working on for the past 8 years, and that is STEMDUP. And we are working with stakeholders and relevant leaders in not only setting up the first STEMDUP school here in New York City, but also to launch STEMDUP Era, starting from the first day of January 2026. The first decade of Era will begin on January 1st, 2026. We will be working with our respective government leaders here in the United States and in Africa, namely the African Union and the governor of New York State and the mayor of New York City and various elected officials in New York in launching STEMDUP Decade, whereby Africans on the continent and Africans in the diaspora will spend the next 10 years heavily investing and focusing on STEM education, making sure that all our boys and girls, wherever they may be, have access to STEM education. Only then we prepare them for the jobs of tomorrow, for the innovation of tomorrow, for the invention of game-changing programs and services of tomorrow. Only STEM is making the difference, nothing else. We have so far completely distanced ourselves from the benefits of STEM as people of African descent. And that is about to change. I personally have traveled around the world. I have visited some of the most sophisticated manufacturing setup. I have visited some of the most advanced technological centers and innovations in the world. And they are all have one thing in common. They are all the product of STEM. And because of the power of STEM and the opportunity and the resources and the potential and the size of Africa, we have absolutely no doubt that the game-changing innovation for Africa and Africans all over the world is STEM. And not only STEM, but if you have STEM without peace, you have nothing. That's why we have leaders who were part of the New York City Board of Education, Department of Education, teachers and principals, spent over 8 years putting together one of the most innovative curriculum dedicated to STEMDUP: science, technology, engineering, mathematics, diversity, unity, and peaceful coexistence. We spent all these years with some of the most qualified educational experts in New York City. Leaders who not only taught all subjects, who not only are licensed teachers, who not only hold PhDs in their respective fields, but leaders who were principals of some of the schools that were deemed irreparable, irretrievable, too dangerous, need to close. And these leaders came and turned these schools around. These are the leaders who have decided that enough is enough. In order for us to close the educational gap, the economic gap, the social gap, the innovation and startup gap, we must go back to the root causes of these disparities and inequalities. And they are all lead to education. They are all the product of STEM. And that is why we have decided that we will singularly focus on STEM for 10 years on the continent and in the diaspora. Couple of days ago, we have held meetings with New York City Mayor's Office and the Board of Education to walk them through the steps of STEMDUP. And we walk out of that meeting with reinforced commitment because they were so excited and they needed to learn more about it, how it's gonna work, the modality, the entire curriculum, and when can we begin. We walk out of there knowing that we are doing what needs to be done, something that is long overdue. If we look at the educational attainment, a lot of times when we talk to the Africans and Afro descendants, sometimes they come up with some excuses about education that makes no sense. They may tell you, oh, we have a lot of educated people, but they do nothing, or this and that and that. That is the wrong concept. That is the wrong message, and it is not true. For as long as we know the human history, it has always been the knowledge that differentiates people, communities, and groups. It has always been the knowledge. Those who know are more likely to be on top than those who are ignorant. In every field of human endeavor, those who know are on top, are the successful ones, are the innovators, are those who invent, are those who govern and lead in every human endeavor for as long as human history, can be traced. Today, that is the reality. Those who are in power, those who control us, those who decide and think for us, are those who are holding on to knowledge. In the last 35 years, especially, technology has completely overhauled the world. The so-called information superhighway, or better known as the internet, has completely changed who we are as humans, how we do things, how we travel, how we exchange ideas, how we communicate, how we even think and reason. Technology in the last 30 years has completely brought us a new world. And those who are in power are those with technical knowledge, whether they are young or old, male or female. It does not matter. Knowledge is the differentiator. Knowledge is the key. Knowledge is the ladder. And knowledge is the empowerment source. It has always been the case. It will always be the case. And this knowledge is now confined within STEM: science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Whether it is a brick or a tower or a tunnel or an aviation flying machines, or these boats and giant cruise lines traveling from continent to continent, these are all the product of knowledge, innovation, invention. There has never ever been a development credited to ignorance. Never. Zero. It has always been those who know. Even when it comes to warfare, today we know. Now, no matter how small a country is or how large a country is, those who dominate warfare are those who command weaponry technology. Those who can build drones and airplanes that can fly undetected, or mega bombs, or biological warfare. All those kind of things that came out of innovation now dominate the theater of warfare. Not the size of the army, not the GDP of a nation, not the numbers of the citizens, but those who harness weaponry technology. Same thing with banking, same thing with law, same thing with engineering, same thing with buildings. It has always been the knowledge that propels one group versus the other, one nation versus the other, one person versus the other. Has always been knowledge. That is why the leadership that we have now have single-handedly taken the cause of STEM to be the most important investable initiative for the African descendant on the continent and anywhere else. The reason why we are saying African descendant, because the records are clear, the numbers are clear. Africans are less in STEM schools. Therefore, Africans are less in STEM professions. That's why we said if they are less, then we have to level the playing field. We have to close the gap, and we have to bring equity where inequity exists, so that all the problems affecting the African descendants will be eliminated through knowledge. Today, you can go to Africa. You can go to the African diaspora all over the world. We have less PhD holders. We have less master's holders. We have less professors in Ivy League schools teaching. We have less researchers. That's why we are dependent on others. And nothing will change the condition until we level the playing field of educational attainment in STEM. Nothing is not an entitlement. It's about knowledge. It's not about race or gender or ethnicity or religious affiliation or cultural belonging. It is knowledge and knowledge alone. And the most valuable knowledge, for as long as we know human history, is science, technology, engineering, mathematics. If now you go to Africa, the cradle of civilization, you go to Sudan, which has more pyramids than any nation on the earth, you will see the work of scientists, engineers, designers, unheard of. How did they do it? How did they calculate it? How did they structure it? It took knowledge. Then you go to Egypt, same thing. Then you go to other places. It has always been knowledge. And that is why we will never compromise on this initiative in making the decades of STEMDUP for Africa and Africans. We'll work with relevant political leaders, sponsors, philanthropists, decision makers, and educators, along with the African Union and its members, to officially launch STEMDUP Decade in order to heavily invest in STEM, so that Africa, which has everything it needs to be a superpower continent, will not wait 100 years, 200 years. Africa can literally develop within 25 years. South Sudan did it. China did it. Small state of Israel did it. Now even the United Arab Emirates is doing it. Saudi Arabia finally is waking up to what technology can do, and they're doing it. If these small countries with a lot less resources than Africa can do it literally in 2 decades, Africa can do it faster, bigger, and superior. And the only way Africa can do it is through STEM. And that is why we are doing this video and many other videos amplifying the voice of this campaign, so that every person will be ready for the decade of STEMDUP. So that no matter whether you are Black or white or Asian, you enroll in STEMDUP school, the results will be identical. Today, most schools that are Ivy League schools or specialized schools here in the West, you will see less and less and less of Afro-descendant students. And because of that, when you go to the boardrooms where decisions are being made in terms of economic and finance, then you will see less and less of Afro-descendant, because it is all connected to education. If you provide early access to the most advanced science, technology, engineering, and math, and top research, top scholars, top professors in an environment conducive for learning, every child, regardless of who they are, has the opportunity for greatness. But today, we are not doing that. And that is why we will be working with our local elected officials. We will recruit them. They already know the problem. All they're waiting for is the solution. And the solution to disparity and inequality is STEMDUP. And the STEMDUP is in our hands. If we provide schools that are teaching STEM in Black and brown neighborhoods, and heavily investing in and bringing top scholars, and provide all communal support and make it a top priority, these Black children who are more likely to go to jail, more likely to not finish high school, more likely to drop out of college, more likely not to be successful, everything will change. Because the difference between them and their counterparts is their counterparts gain access early on to the tools of empowerment, whether it is, coming from homes that prioritize good education, or living in environments that are conducive for success, or having mom and dad at home that make top, priority for education, or having schools that have high rates, of achievers. Whatever it is, our children, Black children, are not getting the fair share. And here in New York City, we're spending over $30,000 per student in public schools. And Black children are at the bottom of success in every category, academic category. And we normalize it, we accept it, and we tolerate it. And we're saying, no way, not anymore, not something we'll ever be subscribed to. We don't care about the race or the gender or the ethnicity or the zip code. We want to establish STEMDUP so that every child, no matter who they are, will have the opportunity to realize the God-given potential available to every soul. We have for so long normalized black, white, brown, Asian, white, Latino, black in a public school system. We live in New York City, the most diversity in the world, yet we have the most segregated public school system. And where you find majority of blacks, bad schools, dangerous, impoverished. And then when you have others, the opposite. This is a crime that we're committing and we normalize, and people like me say, no more. We're gonna end it. We're gonna end it through STEM. Because STEM changed the developed world. Lack of STEM keep those nations that are not developed where they are. In order for those nations to develop, they must adopt, invest, and focus on STEM just like their counterparts. That is the only difference. It's not race, it's not geography, nothing. If we talk about resources, Africa should never ever be ever classified as a poor continent. Never. But because if you have the resources that you cannot develop, somebody else will come and take it out of your country and your continent and develop it and sell it. If they got it for 10 cents on a dollar, they will sell it for $10 on the 10 cents they pay. 1,000%. And yet they keep pointing finger at you as impoverished, as dangerous, as uncivilized, as dependent, as somebody who lives on aid. Yet your resources are building their nations, their economies, their universities. They're enriching them. And that will change from STEMDUP era. So I want you to listen to this, and I want you to share it far and wide. If you love Africa and Africans, if you want to close the gap, and if you want to remove inequality, this is the best solution. This is a panacea, STEMDUP. Science, technology, engineering, mathematics, diversity, unity, and peace. From day one, we don't want somebody who's 30 years old, 35, going back to school because they didn't finish high school. We want the black kids from day one, pre-K, until PhD, have access to all the empowerment tools, all the books that are empowering, all the professors that are lifting them up, not just going through the motion. Sometimes they graduate them when they're not ready for college, not ready for labor force, because there are some social engineering programs that allow them to graduate, but they don't qualify for work, they don't qualify for college. This is crime, and we can change it. This is crime, we can change it. Some of the most brilliant people did not come from a wealthy household, but their parents made so that every single thing necessary was done for them to be who they end up being. It's all about mindset. And the mindset of blacks must be at the bottom, and Asian kids must be at the top. It's a crime we're committing, and it's a crime we can no longer tolerate. And the difference is STEM. And STEM is what we are launching. We're going to launch the first STEM school here in New York City, working with the mayor's office, who is perhaps the most pro-equalizer that we have. He has always campaigned on leveling the playing field, whether it is education, quality of life, or economic opportunity. That's what he campaigned on, and that is what he's promoting, and that's how he's governed. That's why we are blessed to work with his office to establish a public school, STEMDUP. This is not private charter school, nothing. Public school, but STEMDUP. Bring the best qualified teachers, have the best access to tools of STEM, And I guarantee you, every child that graduates from STEMDUP will no longer be deemed as among the bottomers, but yet they will be innovators, inventors. They will be engineers. They will be doctors. They will be teachers. They will be those who provide guidance way forward. They're not going to be second chance people. They're not going to be messed up people. And one of the leaders said, it's easier to build up strong children than to fix a broken man. And here in New York City, especially in the Black community, most of the resources we're investing to people who have already messed up. They're messed up. They lost the first 35 years of their life, and then now we want to fix them up. And we're wasting so much energy, so much resources, where we could have done the right thing from day one. Most of these specialized high schools in New York are occupied by kids with Asian background, limited English language, limited resources, but they focus so heavily for their children to go to Ivy League schools, get full scholarship, and they're getting it. Even when you look at the spelling bee, who do you see? Mostly Asian kids. Now, are they smarter? No. It's all about mindset. The parents said, my child will go to specialized schools or gifted and talented, and my child will go to tutorial center, my child this and that and that, and guess what? 9 out of 10, it happens. It's all about mindset. They're a minority, but their mindset is they will attain it, and that's why they're attaining it. And now here, in our community, that is the opposite, and we're going to change it. So my brothers and my sisters, this is deeply coming from our hearts. We are in pain because for so long, Black students are at the bottom, and Black students are more likely to be incarcerated, to be gang members, to be failures, to have babies before they even, get their 18th birthday celebration. They're more likely to have these problems, and therefore they're more likely to fail. And this is a crime we're committing. They're human beings like anybody else, regardless of their circumstances, regardless of their background or environment. We have to look at every child in the eye and say, you deserve better. You have potential. You are gifted, from God. You can make a huge difference, and we'll make sure of that. And that is what STEMDUP and STEMDUP leaders have committed to doing. Forget about race, gender, ethnicity, background, circumstances, lived experience, zip code. You are a human being. You have the human potential. And we will make sure that you realize it. So join us. STEMDUP is the school concept. Will be launched here in New York City, and then hopefully will be launched in Africa so that we equalize the socioeconomic opportunity that is now heavily unequal between one group versus the other. The groups that are at top, they master STEM. The ones at the bottom invest nothing in STEM. For further information, you can email us at stemdup@gmail.com, stemdup@gmail.com, or if you want to talk to me directly, you can call me at 718-822-5555. Again, it's STEMDUP era from 2026 to 2035. 10 years of heavily focused and heavily investing in STEMDUP education in Africa and in the Afro-descendant neighborhoods in the diaspora. Thank you and God bless.
Imagine a media platform that reshapes the conversation, empowers your voice, and redefines the Bronx community. Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative. For businesses, politicians, and government agencies, we offer targeted advertising solutions that drive results. Amplify your message. Reach the heart of the Bronx and beyond. Our platform connects you to the community. Learn more. Email info@bronxpost.com or call 718-892-5555. Visit www.bronxpost.com for breaking news and updates. Bronx Post. Changing the reality, changing